1.
In just 5 years, the ANC has wasted 456 billion. They continue to destroy our beautiful country. Join me as I go through the 2024 parliamentary report. Let's find out how we're being robbed.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Nick's Rambles. If you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe. I'm here to uncover some of the fraud and corruption that the ANC have put upon the beautiful South African population. I'm a little tired of their begging and pleading, and I'm a little tired of their woe is me. The past was terrible to us. I feel like 30 years has been wasted. So what I've done is I've gone and taken a look at the Parliament Audit Report for 23-24. It looks at both national and provincial, but gives you a very good idea of where the ANC can find that 60 million they keep proclaiming that they are missing, which they're not. I found 406 billion over 5 years. So let's quickly take a look at this. Irregular expenditure, the amount of irregular expenditure incurred every year since Cyril Ramaphosa has taken office has remained high, totaling 406 billion over the administrative term. That's 5 years. Non-compliance with bursary-related regulations sits at 77 billion, which is 44 of the irregular expenditure from 2021. 23-24, 48 billion in irregular expenditure. So now they're only short 12 billion, right? Like, I feel like I've got 2025 sorted. And I know nothing about math. This is the irregular expenditure over the administrative term. 406, almost 407 billion rand. High impact auditees, and I'll quickly highlight what that is 375 billion. 92% of our irregular expenditure comes from high impact auditees. And if you look at Cyril Ramaphosa's sauna speeches, and if you look at the full audit report, these departments are often the most corrupt, as we can see, but also have the most failing infrastructure and require the most attention to get this country off its bum. So high impact auditees, education, skills development and employment, energy, environmental sustainability, financial sustainability. I mean, we really need some help in the financial sustainability, health services, human settlements, infrastructure development, roads and transport. We are all very familiar with potholes, safety and security. We understand what sort of situation we live in, and water and sanitation. We're all very familiar with the water crisis. So that's 92% of the irregular expenditure, and you can all agree that those are the areas in which South Africa is suffering the most. This also includes SOEs and other key public entities. All of these together contribute 1.6 trillion of the total expenditure for provincial and national. 77%. It's disgusting. So just looking at the results from this audit report, the review highlights that the capability of the government is at the center of building a developmental state. But poor productivity, corruption, state capture, wastage, and a lack of accountability have all undermined government efforts to build state capacity. Poor productivity, corruption, state capture, wastage, lack of accountability. Cyril, you are shocking with accountability. Continued weaknesses in delivery and maintenance of quality infrastructure is a huge problem. 23-24, 143 infrastructure projects focusing on the critical infrastructure health facilities, schools, housing, roads and railways, water infrastructure and government buildings, such as police stations. 123, 86% of the 143 projects delayed, cost more than planned, or were of poor quality. There were also delays in newly constructed infrastructure being put to use. The hospital was one such situation. The average delay in these governmental projects, 34 months, 3 years. So you've invested in 2020, and now you're only going to get the project in 2023. The work done by contractors continued to have quality deficiencies, indicating that defects previously highlighted are not addressed. I think what drives me crazy is that I'm reading this report and I'm like, these are all the things we're all moaning about, but this is sent directly to every single one of our parliamentary members. They should be reading this. They should see this. The fact that they're seeing this, the fact that somebody who is highly qualified to produce this report gives them this feedback, and it said here, through the administrative term, I've highlighted the lack of accountability. So the fact is that you have this feedback in your hands and you're actively choosing not to do anything with it until the public goes and audits the audit report. However, some projects were completed without addressing end user needs, such as, would you believe this, connecting electricity to completed houses. In some cases, there was a lack of employees to staff newly built health facilities. So guys, all good and well that Cyril stands up every single year for SORNA. We built 5 hospitals. But what he's not reporting on is the fact that there's no staff in the hospital. He's not reporting on, excuse me, I'm getting very excited. What he's not reporting on is that the 100 million houses he built doesn't have electricity, but is complete according to the metric. Let me move on. Financial management. Poor quality spending puts pressure on government finances. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure incurred over the administrative term totaled 10 billion. High impact auditees responsible gained 84% of that amount. The biggest contributors to this increase in fruitless and wasteful expenditure. I mean, it's not a lot of this is going to be a surprise for all of you. I think it's just the fact that we can see it in one document, and the fact that we know that this document has been given to our government, and the fact that over the 5 years they still chose to do in Transnet, 500 million. Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, 500 million. Overspending. The combined overspending of departments and public entities, 38, may as well be 39 billion over 5 years. By the way, debt collection in public entities is an average 111 days. The 5 years, this is very interesting because SABC and Denel, and I've made two videos prior to this. Well, the one is SABC, the other one is Denel. And in both of those, I show you that the auditing they're near collapse. The financial position of 21 public entities is so dire that they either disclosed a material uncertainty in their financial statements about whether they would be able to continue operating or receive modified opinions, because they could not show that they would be able to continue operating. 21 entities, guys. So dire that they could not show that they would be able to continue operating. The consequences, like I said, consequence management and external audit. But here she says, in every year of the sixth administration. So that means for the last 5 years, simple language, we reported that a culture of no accountability and consequences was a root cause of continued transgression and non-performance. In 23-24, we assessed this to be one of the main root causes of poor outcome at 40% of the auditees. To be one of the main root causes. Guys, ANC, have you read this? Hey? Hey? Have you read this? Well, I don't think so. This tells you the real situation. How auditees dealt with prior year irregular expenditure. Dark blue, not dealt with. Grey, dealt with. 92% of our irregular expenditure is not dealt with. Sitting at 538 billion. ANC, and from the likes of it, you definitely have not referred to the audit reports. Because just so you know, I also have the 30-year audit report, and I'm working through that. So that's coming. You successfully dealt with 8% irregular expenditure. Health sector, unauthorized and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. 5 years, 5.55 billion. That's unauthorized. Fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Almost a billion, may as well be. Irregular expenditure, which is completely separate, by the way, to fruitless and wasteful. 46.25 billion, totaling balance of 86.5 billion. Do you see what I mean? It's just like 1 billion after the next. Estimated material irregularities, financial loss, almost a billion. So that's our health sector. Basic education, unauthorized and fruitless wasteful expenditure, unauthorized, 4.2, fruitless and wasteful, 500 million, irregular. So you can see I'm still getting very excited. 25 billion. That's 5 billion a year. Closing balance, 50, may as well round it up, 31 billion. The fact is, our president goes overseas and tells Davos that we have corruption under control. Davos, World Economic Forum, South Africa does not have corruption under control at all. No. Please stop giving us money, because the only thing you're doing is like lining their pockets while the rest of us suffer. Let's talk about water and sanitation. As we know, that's a fast crumbling service in this country, which, by the way, is one of the few countries that has water supply as a human right. Anyway, fruitless and wasteful expenditure incurred over 5 years, 1.6 billion. Irregular expenditure, 11.5 billion, with the top contributors being, oh, sorry guys, I'm all over the place. We've got Rainwater Board, 5 billion irregular expenditure. Ungeni Tukela Water and the water trading industry. That's what we're sitting at with that. SOE, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, 2.1 billion. Irregular expenditure, 70 billion. 70 billion. I mean, if you just done irregular expenditure correctly, for your SOEs, there's your 60 bill, just on that one. And then you could continue exploiting us for the dumbasses we think we are. The fact that we've put up with this for so long. Anyway, closing balance, 165 billion. I mean, these numbers, you can't even joke. Top three contributors, as we know, Transnet, as we know, South African Airways, Strategic Fuel Fund Association. I must say, like, I haven't heard of half these companies. I have a lot of videos to make, let's put it that way. Carrying on, guarantees and bailouts. Based on the audited 22-23 financial statements of the National Revenue Fund, entities have been provided with financial guarantees of 470 billion over several years, and the total government exposure relating to these guarantees is 433 billion. So exposure is the entities have used the guarantees to obtain loans from lenders. So based on the audited 22-23 consolidated financial statements of these departments, a total bailout given to state institutions sits at 402 billion. I just don't even know what to say. I love this. In our previous general report, we called on those that play a pivotal role in the accountability ecosystem to promote a culture of accountability that will improve service delivery and create tangible prospects for a better life for the people of South Africa. Thank you for trying, Auditor General, but the ANC is not listening. Through our audits and as demonstrated in the various sections of this report, we confirmed the root causes to be as follows: inadequate intergovernmental planning, coordination and support, ineffective resource management, a culture of no accountability and consequence. This is mentioned multiple times in just this report. From a regional point, or provincial point of view, incurring 165 billion in irregular expenditure over the administrative term, 41% of the total irregular expenditure incurred by national and provincial auditees. Eastern Cape has 5%, 8.8 billion. Gauteng, 23%. Limpopo, 12, Northern Cape, 9, Western Cape, less than 1. Free State, 6%, KwaZulu-Natal, 26%, Mpumalanga, 7, Northwest, 12. By the way, 164 billion. We really just need to, like, I don't know. Let's zoom in on this. That is what our government has wasted. 30 years, guys. They've been in power 30 years. The closing balance of provincial irregular expenditure that was not dealt with by the end of the administration stood at 216 billion. So I started getting confused because now we have a balance of 582 billion. So I just get a bit confused because I'm not mathematically inclined. But the point is, we're sitting with numbers like 582 billion. 582 billion. More than half a trillion, am I right? More than half a trillion. So closing balance, so that would be 5 years. Okay, so then closing balance includes any, I suppose, debt that's taken on from the sixth, seventh year, 217 billion. I just quickly want to show you. I think it's important that you guys know. I'm going back to the 406 billion that I explained earlier, right at the beginning, because yeah, at some point that was the one number I could justify coming to from a conclusions point of view. So I was very sure on discussing the number 406, but that 582, whatever came from the provincial, that 582, my brain could not figure out how they got to that number, so I'm not going to refer to it. Regardless, the point is going to be made in this document. 406 billion. Every year, guys, every year for 5 years, our government could have built 542 schools. It's almost 2,500 schools in 5 years. 81 hospitals in a year, hiring 52,500 doctors per year. Jobs, creating 325,000 jobs a year. It would allow us to do 2 major infrastructure upgrades to Eskom at the value of 15 billion rand each. It would give us police, or it would give us police. It would increase our police by 16,000. You see, I'm so confused with all these numbers. Hold on. Okay. It would give us the ability to hire 16,000 more police a year, guys. And I am not a believer in unemployment grants. I do not believe in unemployment grants. But let's just say we would be able to do all of this, right? Police, major Eskom upgrades, jobs, schools, hospitals, doctors, and we would be able to give 2.4 million people a 400 rand grant every year for 5 years. So the government can honestly take their NHI plan and go, was of that somewhere else. They must chilo with that idea. Yeah, this is what we're sitting in. This is what the ANC has done to our country, and this is what we could have been doing to our country. With just the wasteful money, this doesn't account for all the money that they did spend on the things that they should have spent. So if we could go back 5 years and save the money the ANC has burnt, literally burnt, our money that the government has burnt, we would have had all of this every year for 5 years. Guys, thanks for staying with me while I lost my, because that's why my channel's called Nick's Rambles, because I ramble and I get very upset and I throw things around. So you'll get to know that about me. I didn't even pause to ask you just to like and subscribe. So if you like this video, if you'd like to see more, because I will be doing more of this sort of waste and burning of our money, like and subscribe, please. So subscribing, it's free for you, but it really does help me get the channel out there. And I really do want to put some effort into uncovering the corruption of the ANC. And then like my video just because it gives me a bit of feedback on whether or not this is the sort of format you guys like. Anyway, I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Drop a comment, let me know what you think. And then, of course, I will be dropping my next video next week. So thanks so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed this. And have a good weekend. Over and out.